China rejects the U.S. change to the Taiwan fact sheet. So on Monday, China reacted strongly to the U.S. State Department removing a line from its fact sheet on Taiwan that said the U.S. does not support Taiwan independence, saying the move damages U.S.-China relations. This is Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Guo Jiakun. He said, quote, "History cannot be tampered with, facts cannot be denied, and truth cannot be distorted." U.S. State Department updated its fact sheet on relations with Taiwan and gravely backpedaled on its position on Taiwan-related issues, end quote. Guo urged the U.S. to, quote, "immediately correct its wrongdoings and avoid further severe damage to China-U.S. relations and peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait." So while the State Department's fact sheet, it still says that the U.S. has a long-standing one China policy, the removal of the rejection of Taiwanese independence, this signals that the Trump administration will provide more support to the Taiwanese government of President William Lai Ching-te, who's a member of the Democratic Progressive Party, which is an independence-leaning party. And for those who don't know, even though Taiwan is essentially de facto independent, it's long been understood that if Taiwan declares independence from China, that would mean war. That would start a war. And, the Taiwan-China, one China situation, it's very confusing. Each side has their own little interpretation of it, but essentially both sides recognize that there's only one China, and they're both it. Taiwan, the government in Taipei, or the Republic of China, as they call themselves, and then the People's Republic of China in the mainland. And the U.S. has a one China policy, but to talk about independence, it's very provocative. And to China, people might not, if you don't understand the situation, it might seem a little silly that changing the language like this would upset China, but that is just the reality of this delicate situation. And that's the reason why the U.S. decided to end diplomatic relations with Taiwan in 1979 as part of a normalization deal with China to open up diplomatic relations with Beijing. And Taiwan's government welcomed the change. They didn't explicitly mention the language, but they said this is good. It's moving toward friendlier ties with the U.S. All right, so the next one here, Taiwan is considering a multi-billion-dollar arms purchase from the U.S. So this article is from the South China Morning Post. So Taiwan is hoping to win support from the new Trump administration as mainland China continues to apply military pressure. Taiwan is exploring buying arms worth billions of dollars from the United States. Sources briefed on the matter said, hoping to win support from the new Trump administration as mainland China continues to apply military pressure on the self-ruled island. Three sources familiar with the situation speaking to Reuters on the condition of anonymity, given the sensitivity of the situation, told Reuters that Taiwan is in talks with Washington about this. The package is meant to demonstrate to the United States that Taiwan is committed to defending itself, one of the sources said. And it's apparently they're expecting it to be worth no less than $8 billion. So a huge major arms sale. And it's going to include coastal defensive cruise missiles and high mobility or artillery rockets. This is something we've seen the rhetoric from Trump basically saying, these countries have to pay their own bills, and I know this guy, Elbridge Colby, who has been nominated for a high-level position in the Pentagon. He's facing some resistance, apparently because of his stance on his opposition to war with Iran. But he's a huge China hawk, and his whole thing lately has been that Taiwan has to spend more and take their defense more seriously in order for the U.S. to commit to going to war for them if China invades. And that has been Colby's position, is that the U.S. should defend Taiwan, even though it would risk nuclear war. But apparently he doesn't support all the wars in Washington, so that's why some people don't like him.